Hello, my name is Iago da Silva, and today I'm going to talk about Percy Jackson and the Olympians, also known as PGO series. The first book we're going to talk about is called The Lightning Thief, and it begins with our main character called Percy Jackson presenting himself. He says his name is Percy, and he's 12 years old, and that he's a half-blood. And he says that if we think we might be one, we should stop reading right now because once you know you're half blood, things start going wrong in your life. So if you think you might be one, stop reading right now. But if you think it's just a fiction book, so keep reading because you're gonna enjoy the story. Percy is a troubled child. He studies at Yance Academy in Manhattan, and he presents us his only friend Grover and Nancy Bubbleface that is a bully and nobody likes her. He also tells us about his Latin teacher, Mr. Brunner, and how cool his classroom is with swords and shields and stuff like that. And about Mrs. Dodds, that is his pre-algebra teacher, and she's not nice. And they all go to a field trip in a museum, where basically Mrs. Dodds turns into a bat woman with like a woman with bat wings instead of arms and tries to kill Percy when they're alone. But Percy gets a pen from Mr. Brunner, and when he uncaps the pen, it turns into a magical sword, basically. And he slices the Mrs. Dodds, and she turns into dust. And they're like, "What?" And so he goes outside and start asking to everyone what happened to Mrs. Dodds. And they're like, "Who's Mrs. Dodds? I've never heard about it." And he asked to Mr. Brunner, and he said there was never a Mrs. Dodds on school. After the field trip, Percy's so confused, and he heard Grover and Mr. Brunner talking about him like he's special or something, and then he finds out he's a half blood, and Grover is actually a satyr, which is a basically a goat boy, and they gotta go to Camp Half Blood. That is where half-bloods go to survive, to learn how to fight, use their powers and stuff. So they go to Percy's mom's house to get a car, right? And so they get a ride to camp with Percy's mom because she knew that Percy was a half-blood. On the way, there's a minotaur, like a man and a bull at the same time, And he basically kills Percy's mom, but she's not dead. She's like teleports to the underworld, and Percy passes out. And when he wakes up, he wakes up in Camp Half-Blood, in a safe place inside the magic boundaries. And this place is so beautiful. Like there's strawberry fields, and it's always sunny because the weather can change unless they want to. There's 12 cabins, one for each of the main gods of Olympus, and there's about 100 campers, and they all stay training. They to fight monsters and do quests, just like old stories like Hercules and stuff. In this universe, it's all real. In camp, he gets to know Annabeth, that is a child of Aphrodite, and turns out to be his best friend later. And with Annabeth, he and a few campers, they have a game of capture the flag, which isn't capture the flag, but with swords and shields, and usually people don't die on it. This game, he finds out that his dad is Poseidon, so he kind of have water powers. So when he touches water, especially salt water, he gets strength and he heals, and he can also breathe underwater. And later he finds out that he can actually control it, but it's like a few books later. In camp, he gets to know Clarice and Luke, that are children of Ares and Hermes. The problem in Olympus: somebody stole the lightning bolt, Zeus's lightning bolt. That is a massive destruction object, and they gotta send Half-Bloods to find it because gods cannot act on their own. So the chosen ones are Percy, Annabeth, and Grover, because he doesn't want to be friend. He knows that Annabeth will not be his friend, so he can't have betrayals because she won't be a friend. So with a pen that turns into a sword, a cap that turns somebody invisible, and flying shoes, they go to the underworld to find the boat, like the lightning bolts, and Percy's mom, because they think that Hades stole it. They have to fight a lot of different monsters on the way, but they're successful, and they get to the underworld. The underworld, they find out that it wasn't Hades that stole the lightning bolt, but it was Ares, and he also stole Hades' helmet. So now the kids had to save Percy's mom, get back the helmet and the lightning bolt. Later on, they find Ares, they fight Ares. Percy wins, controlling waves and being smart because he's not stronger than Ares, but he wins. Ares does not die, he's a god, but Percy wins and gets everything back to Olympus, and because he got the helmet, Hades gave Percy's mom back, and yay, everything's solved. But Percy cannot forget his prophecy that says that one that calls him a friend would betray him. And when he gets back to camp, he finds out that this one person was Luke, and he was being used by Kronos. And Luke almost kills Percy and leaves, leaving us at a cliffhanger where they gotta find Luke, because he is the actual villain, because Kronos was using Luke and Ares.